Hey everybody, it's Joe and Tim. We're doing our DM? What is it called? GM Mastery
Yeah,
Services,
something like that.
something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, whatever. You know what we're talking about.
It's
Anyways,
just we
today
get here and talk about shit.
we talk about shit and we make a lot of shit up. We're going to talk about magic items. We had a request in one of the comments.
Yes,
You
we
want? Do
did.
you still have that
I
comment up
do.
there, Joe?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Let
can
me
read the
pull it up
comment.
because yeah, there was a person. And see, this we ask you guys for give us ideas. What do you want us what do you hear
Yeah.
us talk about? And when people do, it's like, all right, that sounds good. And so Matt Viviani says, I would like to see how to design good magic items. It seems hard to strike a balance between useless and too good. All right, so that was it. So how do you
Useless and what was
design
the useless and what?
and too
Too
good?
good. Too good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's either like +1 to pick your nose or +38 against all demons. That kind of thing. I guess is what he's aiming there. So yeah,
All
yeah, yeah.
right.
So what do you
So
think?
Joe, what is your let's talk about our philosophies about magic
Yeah,
items because our gaming worlds, when you develop a gaming world or whatever, unless you're just one of those guys who just runs adventures here and there, then you just use what's in the adventures
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. But if you have an adventuring, your campaign world, Joe, what is your general philosophy about magic items?
I I like low magic. And I think it's funny we were
Mhm.
talking about this as we ended my last second edition campaign. I gave you guys a whole lot of shit because it's like, yeah, just 2 sessions left. I'm gonna let them go out with big swinging dicks kind of thing, right? You know what I mean? But
Oh yeah.
up to that, you guys didn't have too much. You had some one shot items, you had some potion scrolls, some little weird things, but I keep it low and I do not ever allow magic stores. Right? You can't buy magic items in a store, number one. And number two, what I don't like to do is even like the magical item trade. Because if a magic item in your world is so rare that you walk into Waterdeep, Lankmar, wherever, right? And you say, for sale, +1 dagger of this, +2 dagger of that, +5 leather. You know what I mean? You're walking
Yeah.
into town, even if there's no magic store, right? In a world where magic is super rare, if you walk into town just advertising, I got so much shit, I'm going to sell it, then you put a target on your back, right? They're going to take your ass out. So you're not even advertising that you got them generally. Little one-shot potions or scrolls or things like that. That's one thing, but magic items, I don't have that many.
Yeah.
About you?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to keep it that way. The one campaign that I ran with you guys, I didn't like the whole magic item type of thing. Mine was kind of a little bit different. Remember when you went into Scorn and you went into the Mages Guild, but
Yeah,
they kind of were selling the defective items. They weren't
yeah. The
selling.
broken shit. It was like Sanford and
You're
Sons
right.
magic item store. It's Fred
Kind of,
Sanford back there
yeah.
selling shit.
This. I mean, they still worked, but they kind of jacked up how they worked.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
work straightforward. And
yeah, yeah.
I do like that, but generally, I think magic items, in like you said, like like the scrolls, the potions, to an extent, to there's a little bit more consumable items, so it's a little bit easier to introduce
Mhm.
those and have them, and it doesn't unbalance the game that much.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I still have a cost to it too, just even for the mundane items, like you guys just were exploring my Viz component and stuff, and how you can
yeah.
change things with introducing magic into maybe
Yep.
something that wasn't so magic, and then but it consumes that too. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
costing that way. But having the ability to just go purchase magic items, I'm not a fan of. I don't like it at all. I prefer more of a gritty and more. If you find well, the one campaign you were also in, Joe, when you found a magic item, you were almost more scared to pick up
Yeah.
the magic item and use it
Yep.
than, because I do like that aspect of a magic item having some sort of cost to it, to the user.
Yep.
um, because my philosophy in my game, in the Comor Force, in this one part of the world, especially specifically the Comor Force, to make something magical, you have to imbue it with some sort of magical creature or
Mhm.
essence of something. And a lot of times what these guys would do, especially some of the older magic items, they imbued them with the essence of the demonic essence.
Yeah.
And so they would have these jacked up, side effects. And the ones that had been there long enough started becoming sentient again. So now you've got this demonic sentience, like that two-handed sword.
It's like an ego sword, right? An
you were
sword.
Yeah, you were like, I'm leaving it. I'm not touching that damn thing. And
you bury it or stuck
you
it in
buried
a
it
or something. Yeah.
It's the first time I saw the characters.
Cheers,
I
by
think.
the way. Cheers.
Yeah, 2 beers, right?
That's two. That's 2 in 1. I got
2 in 1.
My nephew told me about this special combination of this beer and that beer in the mug together, and it's amazing. Like either one of them on their own aren't that great, but add them both together and it's amazing. All right,
yeah, Joe, just don't do that again, okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So now I got a fridge full of beer because he didn't drink as many as I thought, and I got to clear out room. So I guess I got to do the job. What are you gonna do?
I guess you gotta make room.
Oh, by the way, before we get going anymore, Tim, we got to recognize Paul's not here, guys.
Paul's not here. Yes.
He's not been fired, kicked out. He didn't die. He's alive. Our schedules this last week have been so fucking busy, all of us, that we just couldn't all get together. And so we decided, let's just do 1 or 2 videos without him. He'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah, absolutely. Joe, we're not letting Paul go. Yeah. Even if we got to call his wife and make up stuff to force him back into it, we'll do it. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, he'll be back. So
Joe, how do you go about making a magic item then? Like if you're going to introduce a magic item to somebody, because you're writing your own grand rules set and everything.
Yeah.
How do you decide what's your philosophy on how to make them, and then how do you sculpt the powers around it?
Well, I think there's levels of it, right? Potions and like the basic bitch potions and scrolls, scribe a scroll, make a potion. That's okay. You could do that generally as long as they're not, potion of 5 wishes, right? A potion that duplicates a spell, a scroll that has a spell on it. That's easy. That's low hanging fruit. Anybody could do that. The next level up would be the +1 thing, right? A +1 sword. It's just magical enough to be magical and to do +1 hit and damage and allow you to hit magical creatures. Like that's the next tier, right? So the +1 armor, the +1 sword, the +1 shield, that's like the next tier. Those are the next, like in terms of commonness. Is that a word? Commonness? I don't know what the fuck. Commonality? I don't know what the hell the word is. I just made
one up. We're making up magic items. You can make up words as you're doing it.
Goddamn right. So magically making words of commonness. And so, but the next tier, what I want to do is have something more than the +1-ness. Like the next tier up would be +1 dagger, but I never liked +1 sword, +2 versus like Lycanthropes. I just hated that shit. I really didn't like that. It's just,
I get that. Yeah. I never liked just the generic +1 shit either, though.
Yeah, I don't like the +2, then the +3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't scale them like that. I'm just going. You're getting +1, and then the next tier up is never going to be +2, +3, +4, +5. It's +1, and then it's +1 and something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's the limit I'll do. It's going to be +1 or it's +1 and something else, right?
So how do you create the magic items in your world? Is it magic users that make them, or where do they get the magic from to create them?
Here's the weird thing is that in my world, in my game, you haven't encountered this yet because you haven't even started the fucking campaign. Neither is my brother's game or the kids' game. I haven't seen this yet, but no new magic items can be created other than scrolls and potions, right?
Oh, so you're kind of using the philosophy of your last campaigns carry over into this one then.
Exactly. Okay. 1,000 years ago, the war, blah, 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 and that means that, blah, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
so
that makes magic items even more scarce, right? So if you're not making magic, and you can't have 9th level wizard spells in the world either. My brother hasn't learned that, but he never watches these fucking videos anyway. So he's going to figure it out when he gets to there. What he does, he just plays the video thumbs up and turns the volume down. So he gets me the view.
I was going to say, at least he does that. Yeah.
Yeah. It gets me the view. I got to tell him, I got to call him, hype this one. I like this one. It's a good one. It's got legs. Give me a hype. By the way, guys, hype the video. There's this thing you could do on your phone. If you have
on your phone, only on your phone.
Only on your phone. And only certain people. But if you can, go down under the video. You might have to scroll a little bit left.
They have to be monetized for you to be able to do it.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's not
Mhm.
fucking simple, but there's a thing called hype, and it's equivalent to like hitting the thumbs up button 50 times or something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
hype the video if you can, guys. It
When I
helps.
hype yours and Paul's up, I usually push the plus, and then if I comment, it'll automatically bring up the hype option, and then
Yeah.
you just hit the
Okay.
button, and it'll say 2,000 point. I don't know what the
Yeah.
point system means or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can do it that way.
Please do hype it. It
So
helps. It helps get the word out and spread the videos far and wide, and we get more subs, and we could retire in a couple of years because I have 1 billion subs like Matt Mercer. You know, so it's the
exactly.
goal here.
So what do
But
you do for artifacts then, Joe? Like
um,
so all your low level stuff, the
yeah,
magic users handle, you say you get the +1, but there's a like a job that it has to do, because that's one of my things
yeah,
with them. I kind of think of them tools and what were they created for,
yes,
what were
yes.
they made for. But like when you get to do you have like artifacts, like powerful magic items that be like considered artifact level?
I haven't considered that for the current campaign. I don't want to take it that
Okay,
high, but I'm sure there
gotcha.
will be later. You know,
Sure.
as the players get high, they'll encounter that. You're like a fifth level guy, a 10th level guy is not going to encounter any kind of artifact. 20 something
Right.
level guy is going to deal with artifact level shit, you know?
Sure.
But what I'll do is I have something in my game world with like Cthulhu, right? And
Mhm.
so 4 billion years ago, Cthulhu's people, that race, that weird shit, all that stuff was going on here,
Mhm.
and there's still cultists of them. And so deep in the earth or in various places, that undiscovered, there's still little like centers of that stuff. And all that magic, that the Cthulhu magic is like corrupting, right? So
Oh, I
it
know.
could be artifact level, right?
Right.
It's just creepy and corrupting, and you're going to get insanity points because I have an insanity. I call it BSCP, batshit crazy points. That's how I call it in my game instead of
There you
insanity
go.
points, right? So BSCP, and I write that under the little box, and people are like,
Remember my last character was not the same character. Remember, he got
I
sucked in
know,
the mirror. He died, and then I just became the doppelganger or
yeah,
whatever
the,
of
the
the
more corrupted
Cthulhuoid
version.
artifact, and I just
Yeah,
played him out then and just
yeah,
finished
yeah,
him
yeah.
out that
You
way.
were eager to play this corrupted version,
Oh
you know?
god, yeah, that was a lot of fun changing
Yeah,
a little bit, kind of
yeah.
getting a little darker there. That was a lot of
Yep,
fun.
yep, and you were
Yeah.
dark already with your guy, he was a bit of a sociopathic spectrum kinda guy, and then you got even weirder, you got sociopathically weirder, right? Because of the Cthulhu corruption, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool.
So I've never been a fan of the +1 stuff, the generic +1. What I do for +1s to help people kind of get magic items or equivalent type of things is I use my hard silver. So my hard
Yes, yeah,
silver weapons, they allow
yeah,
people like they're not magical, but they allow to hit somebody who needs to have magic hit them. Or I have these things called and I didn't make them up. I think I got it from GURPS, master crafted items. So
yeah,
they give
I
you
like
they
that.
give you just because they're so well made, they give you +1, but it's not a magical +1. So you couldn't
Yep,
hit a magic creature
yes,
like you have. So that
yep,
allows me to introduce low level items
yep,
without magic,
yep, yep,
those
I did yeah,
little
I get it.
bonuses and like that.
I did that
And
with
the
you.
other
You
magic
remember you had a Mastercraft sword, I think. I have 2
Mhm,
levels. There's
I do.
Fine and Mastercraft. Fine gives you +1 to hit or damage, and
Right.
Mastercraft gives you +1 to hit and damage. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
And so there's 2
Okay.
tiers, and they cost a lot more for the Mastercraft,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
certain materials,
absolutely. And
so
those are ones you can actually buy too if you do. They just cost a
yes,
shit ton more.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Because I think I
Yeah.
didn't buy mine. I think, like I said, I think I got most of my magic items from elves that I killed at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
You
looted the
know,
good old-fashioned way. Yeah.
yeah, I did it the old fashioned way. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. They were trying to.
yep.
Well, they shot first, wasn't it?
That's it.
Was it the Han Solo thing?
The Han Solo thing, yeah, yeah.
Han Solo. Yeah, they shot first. Guido shot first.
Uh,
Um, but when it comes to my magic items, I do like mine to have some sort of cost or some sort of effect. You use
mhm,
them because the magic items, you basically had to take some sort of magical creature, imbue its essence into an item, and that's not always going to go well. And that's not always going to be a uh, voluntary actions.
mhm,
Some people are, these things, and the two-handed sword that you guys encountered had been around long enough, and it had become sentient enough, just because of the kind of the philosophy I have for my magic items, and that not all of them are, but they can become that after a while, but it takes a
Yep.
long time and different things. But the one thing I really like about my magic items too is, say your first level, or let's say you find it at third level, because I mean, Joe knows through my campaigns, you can go through seventh level and not really have any magic items. There's
Yeah.
very few here and there. Maybe find some religious artifacts sometimes. That's a whole different category of kind of magic items we might want to talk about too. But the weapon or the armor or something, sometimes what I have with those is they will evolve with the character as they go up in level. So they might have they found the sword, and maybe the sword right now, like at your level, you found it at second level or something like that. It might help you find secret doors. Nothing major, but it's a cool little item. It's a tool that'll help you find that. And then maybe 2 more levels later, well, all of a sudden this thing is, there's undead in this area, and you're holding it up, and when undead come around, it kind of does the whole sting thing. It glows a little bit to let you know, and then it just kind of maybe evolves. So even if you do an identify spell on it, the only thing it's going to reveal is the power that you unlocked. It hasn't evolved yet for you to find out this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I do like that, because I think in, and I could be wrong with this, Joe, but I think in classic fantasy literature, that's they do that. I mean, for some reason, I have that memory in some stories I've read where, as they got more powerful, their weapons and stuff.
Well, I think the Japanese had that, right? And doesn't the legends of their swords, like the more kills you get with the katana or something, those people's souls or whatever affect the vibration,
it could be.
I think I seem to remember that. If not, I read it in a book somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's cool even if it's not true. Either way, I like it.
Yeah. What I do is I do another thing with materials. Like it's like you're talking about, you're to find a masterwork. So I just pulled up my PDF of the book here for the game. First, I do have hard silver. I haven't introduced it to these guys yet. I'm doing the same kind of thing, that you're doing with the hard silver, but it's very, very rare. From a meteor that hit a long time ago, and only a few people. You know what I mean? One of those deals.
Well, it's funny, Joe. If you go anywhere else on my campaign, hard silver hardly exists. It's because where you're located, because the Northmen used it, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's just in that area. It just seems like it's somewhat common because of what your location.
Yeah. For me, it's just a meteor thing. So that one meteor is the source of all of it. So that's why it's so fucking rare. But
so
I have
xenomorph corpses.
Yeah. I have silvered weapons. They're not made from silver. They're coated in silver. But unless you use it against somebody who can only be affected by silvered, like undead demons and devils, it'll just chip off. You can't use a silvered weapon against a regular orc. The silverness will chip off, right? And so they're +2 to hit and damage versus undead. And they also affect creatures known to be affected by silver weapons like undead, demons, and devils. They give the ability to hit demons and devils normally only hittable by magic weapons, but they give no bonuses to hit or damage for the demons or devils, right? They cost 5 times more. Now, then I get into the fine and the masterwork. Like I said, fine is +1 to hit or damage, and they cost 10 times more. Masterwork +1 to hit and damage, they cost 25 times more. So if a weapon costs 100 gold, 2,500, right? 25 times more, all right, to buy it. Now, fine armor costs 10 times more than an armor, and it makes it 1 point of AC better. All right, masterwork costs 25 times more, and it has some damage absorption. Okay, so you're getting DR bonus out of the armor because it's that good. Now I bring in adamantine here. Okay, adamantine items weigh half as much as a steel item. Okay, skill checks are not affected by an item made of adamantine because of the bulkiness factor is still there. But if the weight was the sole issue, right, then the PCs would have their strength scores adjusted because of this and the other thing. Now, due to the skill needed and the difficulty in creating stuff from adamantine, it costs 10 times more for the final item, right? It's
Okay.
not magnetic and never rusts. All right. So that's what I don't know where I got this. I made some up. I probably pulled some out of my ass, or I pulled some out of books. Right. So like a 1 pound adamantine makes as much stuff as 2 pounds of steel would. All right. So it's just lighter. Right. So it's a
Okay.
little bit thinner, a little bit lighter. Adamantine are normally used for, this is where it ties into magic, normally used for lesser powered enchanted items like +1 swords or
Right.
armor. Regular steel or iron or bronze weapons cannot be made into magical items. The more heavily enchanted ones, like +2 or higher, require mithril, unless they are masterwork adamantine items. Okay. And then I even
What's
have
your
like
hierarchy? Mithril and then adamantine,
adamantine,
or adamantine
like
and then mithril?
there's steel, adamantine, mithril. Mithril's the
Okay.
you need mithril for the highest, right? And
Gotcha.
then adamantine items though cannot be enchanted by rune magic, dragon magic, demonic, diabolic, pact magic, which is my warlock stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
celestial, or eldritch. All right, but outer astral plane people, psionic magic can affect adamantine. All right, so and only
Okay.
the finest craftsmen can make fine or masterwork adamantine weapons and armor. They're like there's like the one guy in Greyhawk, the one guy in Waterdeep. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's that guy,
Yep.
right? And it'll cost you an arm and a fucking leg. So that's pretty much how I do it. So different, you need different materials and different costs to make it. But like I said, in the game, you can't make it anyway because of what I did,
Right.
in terms of the past consequences of the past thing. So it makes it even more rare, So
And I think what we're like a point where we're talking about, but not focusing on, guys, is you have to structure these laws of magic in your campaign to make sense when you make magic items.
Mhm.
If you're doing one shots and you're just using the magic items, there's no reason to bother with this kind of thing. But if you're
Yeah,
going to run a long-term campaign, I think, and if you're going to make your own magic items, understand where your magic comes from. Have some. It's like fiction or fantasy fiction. You got to have laws
yeah,
in place. You just can't
exactly.
have everything happen. You got to, and then just kind of abide by those. And if there's something that breaks one of the laws, there has to be a reason for it.
Mhm.
And that's where you get to create all the cool stuff. Like Joe's creating all these uh, different types of things. I have my one it's not magic like wood, but I call it ebon wood. I think you've heard me say it a few times,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's basically wood that's kind of it's shapeable, but it's kind of is hard to steel when it
Mhm.
solidifies and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And but yeah, I think it's very important to be able to make an effective magic items that make consistent within your campaign is have those laws done. I mean, if you're playing a high fantasy campaign, like a lot of the D&D modules are, and campaigns they have, they're all pretty much high magic.
Yeah.
You don't really need any laws when you're doing that. I mean, it's kind of like almost like a, pick your best one you found.
Mhm.
You could have found 3 magic swords, and you just have to find the one that. Well, I guess they have that. What is it called? I don't know. You have to tune yourself with the magic
Tuning, yeah,
items.
yeah. That's the
Tuning,
one good thing that 5th edition did, I think, is the attunement rules for magic items because you can only have a certain amount of attunements that you could
right?
possibly have. I expanded upon that for higher level games. I had a couple different other attunements. Like
Hmm.
one of them was bloodline attunement. Like, you could
Okay,
have like 3 attuned items to you. You don't need to attune a potion, right? But a +1
right.
something maybe you needed to, or a cloak of invisibility needed to, right? And so you yourself can be attuned to 3 items, right? Or something like that. And then carry around a potion of healing and a +1 dagger, whatever. But I did something with a bloodline attunement that gives you another attunement slot. Like it would have to be an
Okay,
item created that only your bloodline can use. Right. And so it used like literally the blood of ancestors. And you need to be descendant of those ancestors in order to be able
right.
to use this thing. So it's a ring of nothing. It's a gold ring to somebody, but to somebody in the ancestral line, it's a +1 ring or whatever the fuck,
Yeah,
right? And so that's a different kind of attunement. So I figured that escapes the rigidness of you can only have 3, or you could have an attuned one to your bloodline, something like that. So I think I had
mhm,
one more. I just forget what the hell it was. I had some other thing, another type of attunement, but
okay.
yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like just to expand out a little bit. Um, but in terms of creating a magic item so that they're not too powerful, uh rarity and cost, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, is have them rare in your world, have them rare in your game, and have them, if you're going to have the ability to buy or sell or make it fucking prohibitive, right?
Yeah,
Very
and
much.
have it make sense. I
Yeah.
mean, why was it created? Because I mean, there's a reason why, like, Wizard would spend all this time or doing. Why was it created in the first place?
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
history? Because I mean, you could make a history almost for every freaking magic item.
Mhm.
You don't have to do that. I would say the more important ones you'd want to
Yeah.
definitely do that. But because one of my favorite magic items I ever made was called the blow knife. I know it's weird.
Yeah.
So it's in the Thieves Guild. So the Thieves Guild gives out these knives. They're daggers. And what you do is when you're working in the dark and everything, you can blow on the blade and it'll glow slightly like a candle. So like if you're in the dark and you're trying to work on something, you can blow on the blade so it'll glow for a little bit, but it'll go out as soon as you stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
blowing,
Yeah.
and then you can pick
Yeah.
it. So it kind of
I
keeps you
like that.
concealed at the
Yep.
same time. Very simple thing, but it's got a direct service. It would make sense that the Thieves Guild would, hand these out to people that they, favor,
Mhm.
and as part of it would make sense for the Thieves Guild to invest in something like this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not that high.
Yeah.
It's not a game breaker. It's just a cool tool. It's
Yeah.
just a nice little tool that I really enjoy making.
I made an item once.
Give us an example.
I'm looking for this because I think this is. Remember when Eric was doing all these? I'm going to put out a book of combination, and he was going to publish a lot of shit, right? And he was looking for submissions and give me magic items. This is like ancient blog
I do
days,
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
right?
That was one of many of his projects he was going to do.
Yeah, they never go anywhere. You know what I mean? So they never follows up on it.
Once in a while they get done. It's like one out of 20.
Yeah. So there, I'm looking up the name because I forget what I think is. He said that you liked this, if I remember right. I just cannot fucking find it.
You said
What
I
is
liked it?
What is the Latin word for rust? Anybody? Bueller? Because that was I had was the tome of rust or something like that. Latin word
I was going
for
to say
rust. Let's
nobody's
see.
out there.
Oh, Rubigo, Rubigo.
Huh?
Yes, Liber Rubigo mortem.
Oh, Rubigo mortem. Okay.
All right. So here this fear tome exudes a brown mist that constantly swirls above it. It's 10 inches tall, 20 inches across, and 1/2 inch thick. It has 2 1/4 inch thick steel sheets of rusted iron as front and back covers, bound by 3 rusted iron rings. Within lies a single page immune to all damage. A wizard who touches the book when it is unattuned with their bare hands ends up with rust-stained hands forever. You always have rusty hands. You ever get rusty hands? You wipe it on your shirt or something. Always have rusty hands, right? It must be touched with bare hands to be open, so you can't even wear gloves to get around that, right? The rust is foul-smelling and of a nasty brown hue and can never be washed off your hands. It will forever stain everything you touch with rust dust. Now, this is one of your fuck you items, like you like so much, right?
I do like
this. I'm all rusty. I think this is why Eric said you liked it, because it was a fuck you item. I didn't know you that well.
Probably. No, I kind of remember this now. I did like this one. I thought it was good. I love the name of it too.
Yep. So, however, touching your book with the bare hands, the only way to open it, many have paid the price, as the contents of the one page in the book can be very powerful. Within lie the instructions on how to make one of the most feared golems there is, the Rust Golem. In addition, there are 2 spells, the Rust Golem. Imagine that, right?
I remember that. Yes, I remember the Rust Golem now. Wow. Yeah, I do remember this.
This is
a long time ago, Joe.
This is a long time ago, dude. This is a long fuck. This is 2014. I'm looking back at the dates.
I was gonna say it's got to be more than 10 years old.
Yeah, 12 years ago. So this is the 5th
Jesus.
edition incarnation. I updated it for 5th edition. So there are 2 spells in it. Only one who is attuned to the book can cast any of those spells or create the golem, as the rusty covered hands seems to be a material component for all 3 things. In other words, you need the rust hands to create the golem or cast the spells. That's a material component. The book needs to be attuned to use it, blah, 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 blah. The rusty touch, level 1 spell. Any piece of metal that the magic user touches turns to rust, just as if it was touched by a rust monster, up to 2 cubic feet per level of the caster. In addition, the mage can, once per day, mix rust powder with water and drink it within 10 minutes of the creation, curing himself of 1 to 8 hit points of damage per level of the caster. Now, Rust Blast. Level 3. 90-degree fan, right? 20 feet out in front of you. It causes
Yeah.
all within to do a deck save with a -5 penalty or choke for 1d6 rounds, unable to take any other action, even if they get out of the cloud until the choking fit is over. In addition, another save is required for con and -5 penalty, or you lose 1 hit point of con permanently. And then there's the Rust Golem. Cost 200,000 gold pieces to create it. It takes 6 months of uninterrupted work. It has hit points 250, AC 30. Again, this is a 5th edition thing.
Yeah, 5th edition.
Yeah. 2 fists, 2 to 20 on each blow, plus the rusty grip upon landing a blow. And metal objects that it hits turn to rust and have no effect. It's like fighting a rust monster, but golem and on steroids.
I know it's just terrifying. Yeah, I loved it. I do remember this one, Joe. I absolutely, because it makes so much sense and it has a fun theme and it's useful and I don't know, and it's terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. And yet,
I remember that's a very good one. I love that one. Yeah.
How I ended it was the foul-smelling metal beast is the bane of all mages who build iron golems to protect their possessions because it fucks them up, right? It's the anti-iron golem. It's 12 feet tall and constantly emits a cloud of foul-smelling rust dust that just falls off it, right? It has no known weaknesses and is immune to all non-magical weapons. The only spells which seem to affect those was douse it fully with water, which slow it by 50%. Otherwise, you just got to beat the fuck out of it, basically. All right. So it's the anti-iron golem. So that's, you want an example of some. I don't make up my own too often, but that's an example of one that I did make up. All right. So yeah. So that's cool. That's something. That's something. How about you? You got anything you want to share with the group? Anything you made up?
I think my most classical and classic and most famous one is the Hugo's healing potions.
Yes.
So they're kind of magical, but they're not really. But they're a low, about as minimum of a magic item as you can possibly get. They have what makes them fun is because there's a 1 in 6 chance that they don't work.
Yeah.
He sells them cheap. Because Hugo, everybody. Because back in the day when we were running, we were running a theme campaign. Rob was running a theme campaign, and we're all mages. And our one guy was just he was an alchemist. It made absolutely no sense to make any other potion besides healing, because none of the alchemist places in City State had enough healing potions for the amount that we wanted to buy. So if you became the healing potion guy, you never had to worry about money. You could just make them, and you were just printing money, printing coins. But then I got into the idea, let's make them cheaper though, and then we don't have to spend. We don't need troll's blood. We don't need this. We're just going to do some mundane stuff, and then they might not work sometimes. But that's okay because they're still good because we're still the cheapest thing in town. That's how Hugo's healing potions was born out of what do you call it? Customer demand and
customer demand. It was like a real market,
That we filled a hole in the market that was needed. So that was probably one of the most, and it's so much fun to see people react to Hugo's healing potions. They rely on them, but they hate them. Everybody wants to kill Hugo. I mean, he's like my number one hated person in my campaign. It's a blast.
I gotta turn the light on brighter too. I'm in my underwear, so let me stand up, turn the camera off here.
Yeah, please. That's all right.
Oh, there we go. Because I'm reading something from this book, which needs more light and my glasses.
Yeah, get your glasses on.
This is something that I think builds in rarity. All right. So it's an 8th level magic user spell called permanency.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. The spell affects the duration of certain spells, making the duration permanent. And then there's a list of a bunch of spells that you can do permanency on. Okay. And let's see. And it reduces the magic user's constitution by 1 point.
Permanently, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
So that's a thing that I think makes a huge fucking difference. You apply that to magic items, right? You're going to need a magic user to use a permanency spell and lower their con by a point to create a magic item. That's what I've always applied this, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the spell, that you cast on yourself. I like it when you use that spell to make a magic item permanent as well. Because I think what was that enchanted item? What level was that spell?
I don't remember now.
Right? Enchanted
weapon. Does that give you +1, right?
It gives you +1. Yeah. But if you say, okay, now it's a +1 weapon, but if you want to make it permanent, you have to cast permanency.
Right.
Now it's +1, but the wizard, I don't think that's a part of the rule. It's just what I did, right? To make it permanent.
I think that's the way we did it too. I think we did, but we never got to that. Nobody did it though. Nobody was, and especially it's an 8th level spell. So you have to be like, I don't know, 15th level. And you're not really going to make a 15th level wizard do anything that they don't want to do.
That's it. Right. And so it's the wizard who works for the king. Right? Or it's Michelangelo or the Leonardo of wizards who is, patron.
Or it's the cause, there's some major thing happening and they're doing it for a cause. Yeah.
Yep. And so when you look at it in those terms, right, you're using permanency to make an item magical. Okay. The high cost, the wizard is involved because you need a wizard, right? It has to have a wizard. You're losing a con point. Okay. And so you're giving the king of the land a potent magical sword that is the lich killer or something, right? Because the lich has the kingdom next door and he's trying to take your kingdom. And so it's the king's +2, +10 versus liches or insta death on liches or something like that, because it has and so that's usually you get a named weapon for that, right? Because the more rare weapons, you have name, you have legend, you have lore, you have history behind it. That's what I've always liked about, like, +1. There's so many +1 swords out there. It's like it should be rare and special, and it should have its own fucking name, but they don't because there's so fucking many of them, right? And so I want to make magic rare again. Make magic rare again. That could be a hat, right? I don't know.
Doesn't make
one way to do it is to make it special, so rare that
that'd be like raw.
Yeah, make magic rare again. Raw. But one way to do that is to make any magic item that you find. If you take away the identify spell, all right, if you don't have the spell identify, which tells you every single thing that an item can do, then you have to go back and find a sage who says, oh, because of the symbols on it and the this and the that and the gem in the hilt and and the swirling dragon on the blade, this was King Landry's sword from 350 years ago was lost in the great battle of whatever the fuck. You have King Landry's sword. Well, what does King Landry's sword do? Well, let me research for another 2,000 gold pieces. I will tell you. They research. They tell you what the fuck it does, the keyword, the trigger word, whatever it is. And now you know what it is. And you got away from using an identify spell because using identify takes away the mystery of the history. Ooh, I rhymed.
There you go.
I got another sip. I'll be a fucking Bukowski poet laureate here.
There you go.
Yeah, takes away the mystery of the history, right? And so if you have sages and stuff like that who are into it, now you're invested because it's not just a +1 sword. This is the King Landry sword that he beat the weatherfucker from, and blah, 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 blah. And you have history in your hand. You don't just have a generic +1 sword, right? And take away identify if you can, if your players will put up with that. It's a different kind of a game if you do something like
that. Does your system have identify in it?
It does. Too many whiners. It does. I would love to get rid of it. Too many fucking whiners, though. Too many fucking whiners. But what I did
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
What I did do is the tech magic identify. If you're too low of a level, like in a powerful item, right? If you're too low of a level to be able to your first level spell of identify or detect magic, sometimes the item is so fucking powerful, it's like I can't even figure that out. It's too much shit coming out. You know what I mean? So you need to be maybe 8th level to identify what it really does. So that's my boundary. That's how I'm limiting it in a sense. But sorry, you were saying something though?
I was gonna say that there is a very cool solo game out there, and it's called Artifact. And it's been years ago, and a lot of people do solo games know this game. It's very popular, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who made it, but basically the whole solo game is about the history of a sword or an artifact or something. So you build the history of it, like you're journaling your history and who it gets passed from. and
Okay.
how that goes. And if you don't have the game, it's definitely worth getting. And it's a cool way to develop magic items.
All right.
Maybe I wouldn't do it for every magic item, but maybe
Yeah.
for cool special ones, because then you can build up your own history with it. And that
Okay.
way, when you get to that, you know, you want to make that, then you already have everything kind of done. And it was like kind of, you know, you have a systematic way to create the history
Yeah.
of a magic item, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
which is a lot of fun. And the gentleman has different games out, but that one was, I believe, his first one. I that's when I got to notice him. He's got some other space ones and everything, but that one's a really good one. I think it's on itch.io for $12, and it's Artifact, but it's ARTEFACT.
All right.
So it's got an E instead of an I in there, or whatever. But yeah, go check that out. It's definitely cool and a great tool to use to develop some background for a magic item.
Okay. I think you were talking about something before. We triggered my memory now. I'm finally figuring out what the hell what you triggered was. Remember the growing in power as you get higher levels. Do you remember the Oriental Adventures Kensai? They had that, right? Their weapon became more powerful as they became.
God, it's so long since I've read that, Joe. I don't remember it, but
I remember something like that. And I think that Wizards of the Coast in the 3rd edition era, just before 4th came out, had a book that dealt with something like that, where you would grow in power. There was a weird kind of a book. It didn't fit. It would, but your items would grow in power. I wish I remember what the hell it was called.
Yeah, I don't know what that one was.
Yeah. I have to go back in my PDF collection that somehow landed on my hard drive. Figure it out.
It's floating on a ship with a skull and crossbones.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But I think we did a pretty good job at doing that.
Yeah, so. 41 minutes. That's pretty cool.
So hopefully it answers the question. I think in summary, Joe, if I miss anything, make sure you have rules if you're going to do campaign of how your magic works and how they imbue your magic items. Set limitations. You know, make sure you have rules and limitations on there.
Be consistent.
And be consistent with it. And both of us like to keep it somewhat rare, because if you start handing out too many magic items, then it just becomes an economy. Then it just becomes just like, well, just come on down. We'll give you a +1 plate mail, and you can buy a +2 shield, and you're not earning anything. You're just kind of collecting. You're just collecting stuff instead of earning stuff.
I mean, the worst example was 3rd edition 3.5, where you had the Christmas tree effect. You had the item that gave you +1 to a stat, and then as you leveled, the game expected you to have the item that gave you +2 to a stat, and you're expected to have 6 items, 1 for each stat. So by the time you hit 15th level or 18th level,
I didn't know that.
6. Yeah, you were plus. You had a +6 strength, a +6 stats. All the 6 stats had a +6 item, and it was the Christmas tree. You were decked out like a fucking. And then you had the sword, because remember, there's certain swords that did certain damage against certain things. So you're walking around with like a golf club bag.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah,
right. And so you had an insane amount of shit, and it was just number grind, because the monsters went up in the same token, right? And so you're walking around thinking you're magical, but when it's all relative, it means nothing.
Right. If they're scaling up with you, you didn't get powerful. No.
All you did is complicate the game unnecessarily. That's all you did, because now you're trying to remember, well, this bonus I have a dexterity bonus. Remember all the different bonuses they had for 3rd edition?
Because I didn't play 3rd edition. I never played it.
Terrible.
That's why I didn't play 3rd edition.
Right? They had categories of bonuses. Like the 2 of the same bonus can't stack with each other, but 2 different bonuses that affected the same thing could stack. So you could have an astral bonus won't stack with an astral bonus, but an astral and a lunar bonus stacks together. So they could both. I'm making those up because I forget the term, because you know what I mean. So it was like that kind of a thing. Holy shit!
Don't do that, people.
Don't do that. And so every new book that came out came up with a new classification system of bonuses. Every new Splat book had new classifications. So
sounds horrible.
That was shit. It was pure shit, dude.
Sounds horrible.
Pure shit. It was like this is bloat. This is the crunch bloat of 3rd edition. It's why it collapsed under its own weight. Don't do that.
I believe that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that, guys. That's a good example of not what to do. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's everything. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and
share it around.
and then do the hype thing,
Yes.
hype Joe, and
Hype
that.
ups.
Even go hype Paul. Even though Paul didn't earn anything
Oh, fuck
tonight, go
Paul.
over to see Paul.
not
Give him a
here.
like. You know,
Yeah, he's not
feel
here.
bad for him. Give him a pity
Well, I do
like.
feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him. He's follically challenged. I feel bad for him.
Hey, now.
You know, so anyway, see you
It's
later. everyone.
follically earned.